48 Hours is shedding new light on the misguided police investigation into the murder of a young single mother in Ohio. In 2015, 28-year-old Heather Bogle was found dead in the trunk of her car just a mile from her work. Her murder led to a year-long investigation. The lead detective, Sean O'Connell, pursued 3 innocent people while the real killer hid in plain sight. CBS News chief investigative correspondent Jim Axelrod reports.
28-year-old Heather Bogle's car was found just 1 mile from the Whirlpool plant where she worked. What they found inside the trunk still haunts current Sandusky County Sheriff Chris Hilton.
They found a beautiful young woman who had been savagely beaten and murdered.
Heather's fingernails had been cut down to the cuticles, possibly her murderer's attempt to destroy DNA, and her hair had been chopped.
Imagine taking like a pocket knife and just going like this with it.
The hunt for Heather's killer dragged on as the lead detective, Sean O'Connell, focused on 3 people: Omar Satchel, Kiana Boer, and Kaylee Jeffrey. Boer lived near where Heather's body was found, but O'Connell ignored exculpatory evidence, says the sheriff.
He attempted to indict people for murder that had absolutely nothing to do with it.
In a report to the prosecutor, O'Connell failed to mention that DNA evidence excluded those 3 people, an omission that would help lead to O'Connell's arrest for misleading a public official and tampering with evidence.
Do you feel you owe Omar Satchel, Kiana Boer, and Kaylee Jeffries an apology?
Why would I apologize? I mean, if you look at...
Because they didn't do it?
How do we know that for sure?
They know it because they found the real killer, says Sheriff Hilton. Heather's GPS coordinates from her phone placed her in this trailer home 13 minutes after she was last seen leaving work.
And we find out later that day it belongs to Daniel Myers. Who was Daniel Myers? We find out very quickly that Daniel Myers worked with Heather. We find out that he worked with her that night. We find out that he left approximately the same time that morning. That's when we went, aha, we got something.
Slowly, they began to piece together a disturbing picture of a sexual predator, a man investigators say was focused on control, domination, and humiliation. After his arrest, the prosecutor says 10 women came forward and said Myers had raped them. And this woman, Lorianne Haley, believes Heather Bogle wasn't Daniel Myers' first murder victim.
You think your sister was murdered?
Yes.
By Danny?
Yes.
No question?
No question.
And Jim Axelrod joins us now in Studio 57. Jim, why didn't the original detective have Myers on his suspect list?
Well, that's what makes this such a rich hour. You really have 2 stories here. You have this brutal murder, and you have good police work that solved that, but you have some really bad police work to start, criminally bad police work. Blinders. But the question then becomes, was it incompetence? Was it ambition? Was it racism? We'll get into all of that.
Do the police think he could be a serial killer?
Well, the thing is, while they're not ready to go that far, the killer ended up showing signs that this wasn't his first rodeo. He replaced floorboards and carpet at one of the murder scene, which led investigators to say, well, wait a minute.
Why?
How did you know to do that? Obviously, he had some experience, or it would be easy to assume that.
All right, Jim, thank you.